nos han de traer? Creen que somos inmortales. Con el oro los portales abrimos y volveremos. Y estos indios tan serenos son tontos profesionales.
This is the famous story of Cacique Urayoán. Urayoán was one of many indigenous leaders of Boriken in the 1500s. He was the cacique of Yucayeque, Yagueca, which is now known as between Mayagüez and Añasco, Puerto Rico. Urayoán was one of the indigenous leaders that sparked the Taíno rebellion of 1511. On Christopher Columbus's second voyage to the New World, he arrived to Boriken. He was accompanied by Spanish militant leader Juan Ponce de Leon and between 1,500 Spaniards. They arrived to Boriken in 1493. There were several myths that said that happened between the Taínos and the Spaniards. One of the biggest myths or legends was that the Taínos believed that the Europeans were immortal-like creatures sent from above, or gods, if you may. And with that myth or legend, the Europeans decided to capitalize on that and use that power over the Taíno people. So as the years went by, they started getting a little comfortable with how they were treating the Taíno people. The leader of Boriken, known as Cacique Awewana, didn't like what he was seeing. Neither did Cacique Urayoán. Frustrated with how his people had been treated, he decided to plot. So he gathered 2 Taínos and decided to do a little test on the Spaniards' immortality. So they came up with a plan to lure one of the conquistadores, known as Diego Salcedo, and have him accompany them on a little walk. They brought Diego to a river to drown him. The Taínos needed confirmation to know if these people were gods. They mainly put his head underwater and see if he would survive. Once Diego stopped struggling, the Taínos pulled him out the water, let his body sit by the water for a couple days to check in to see if he would come back to life at any point. He didn't. Cacique Urayoán ran with the quickness to make sure word got back to Awewana. Once Awewana found out that these people weren't gods, that was the spark of the Taíno rebellion of Boriken in 1511. This is probably one of the most famous stories that ever came out of the Caribbean. Several statues were made to reenact what happened. There's even a whole water fountain made that when it fills, you see the statue drowning. That being said, shout out to Cacique Urayoán and happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Go with your ancestors. Han Han Katu.